Welcome to episode 156 of the Beefy Boys Breakdown. We're going over UFC Fight Night, Hermansson versus Pyfer, another Fight Night main event, or Fight Night, Apex Fight Night, should I say. And, man, we're going to dive right into this main event, man. We got the vet versus the prospect, classic UFC-style matchmaking.
Yes, sir. Yeah, we got Joe Pyfer taking on Jack Hermansson. Now, odds here. I mean, Pyfer, huge favorite, right? I mean, minus 250, the unranked guy taking on number 11, plus 195, Jack Hermansson. Now, I want to ask you before we break it down. You didn't bet it, but I want you to explain to the people at home why. Because according to your rankings, you should have.
Yeah, well, it's the second week in a row I did this. My rankings predicted Charles Johnson over Azat. Really, the only reason I didn't bet it is honestly just me being a pussy, bro. Like I just I don't know, like everybody was picking Piper. He had all the hype. I just didn't trust my rankings. I didn't stick to the system, which is bad. Next week I got an upset, which I will give away at the end of the prelims episode. So stay tuned for that.
Nice, good
Because
tease.
that's 2 weeks in a row. I picked an upset that hit. I just didn't have the balls to pull the trigger. But yeah, man. I mean, the main logic there being that Piper has been crushing cans. I mean, the Gerald Mearshart and the Abdul Razak Al Hassans of the world. Hermansson's fought Strickland. I mean, Hermansson's fought. I mean, some of the top guys in the weight class. I don't have his typology pulled up, but I mean, damn
Vittori,
near yeah,
Dolidze,
Vittori. Yeah, I mean, most of the top 10 Hermansson's been in there with, and he's had varying levels of success.
Gastelum
But
he subbed
Piper,
in like 30 seconds.
exactly. So it's like Piper had never been in there with anybody. I'm talking anywhere close to Hermansson, and Hermansson's been in there with guys way better than Piper. So that
So
was kind of the logic.
yeah, so kind of a strength of schedule thing there, right? That like Hermansson's used to taking on anyone from the 15 to 5 range, essentially. Like and he does well in that range. So anytime he gets inside the top 6, I'd say that it's like, okay, Hermansson's slightly overmatched here. But with that being said, yeah, according to your rankings, you had Hermansson ahead. The Billy Walters playbook would say you're getting double your money on a guy that you have as a favorite. Billy Walters also, quick shout out to him. He said the line in Vegas was 4 points off. The Chiefs should have been favored by 2.5. That guy knows what he's talking about. He said the over under's perfect. He said the line should be 2.5 Chiefs. He literally called the game
Yeah,
almost to a T.
to a T for sure, bro. And then one last thing, the 5 rounds was a big factor to me too. Hermansson, I mean, how many of these Apex Fight Nights has Hermansson headline? Hermansson is the 5 round guy. Piper, if this fight would have been 3 rounds, I would have had to give serious consideration to picking by a big margin.
Well, and with that being said, let's dive into it because that is the story of this fight. Without giving away too much, I mean, the first round, Piper looked as dangerous as he's ever looked against all the cans. Landing big shots.
Yeah,
I thought he was landing his low kick pretty well. And honestly, Hermansson was kind of having a problem getting in to the range to use his jab and his low kicks without eating bombs. Piper also had a distinct speed advantage early on in the fight.
oh yeah, I mean Piper is a plus athlete, and maybe to a fault, he seems to really rely on his just like explosiveness, which works against cans. But when you get in the top 10, top 15, you got to marry the strategy with the technique with the athleticism. And Piper was just trying to kind of out athlete him, which he did for 5 minutes, But then the tide started to turn.
Agreed. So we both had 10-9 Piper in the first. I don't even think that that's too much of a question. Um, that being said, the first 3 minutes of round two, Piper still foot on the gas, looked good. But the last 2 minutes, and I had this thought in my head. I don't know why I thought this. Maybe because first time I've ever seen him go 5 minutes, and even more to that point, like he never even goes to the third round typically. So I started to wonder. Normally, you see at the 8 minute mark, these guys start to like hit a big wall, and essentially you could start to actually see that Hermansson finished round two better than Piper did. I thought that last 30
Mm-hmm.
seconds or so. That being said, I still had Piper winning the round, still had him up 20-18, but you could see the tide starting to shift. And by round three, I mean, Piper looked like he had lost the speed advantage completely.
Yeah, it was a combination of Pyfer's athleticism slowly fading and also Hermansson making some reads. Hermansson started to check some kicks. He started to figure out the distance a little bit, started to figure out. So it was like a blend of Pyfer slowing down just a tad, but also Hermansson kind of figuring him out a little bit.
100%. And then in round three, Pyfer was still able to avoid a lot of the damage in two. He was just not as able to get off the damage he had in round one. Now in round three, that starts to turn completely. Hermansson starts to get his own leg kicks off. And also, this is the round where he clips Pyfer in the eye with a punch. Pyfer thought it was an eye poke because it hit him so square in the eye. And it was definitely a
Yeah.
punch.
Oh, 1,000% a punch. Maybe it was like a four knuckle or something, but regardless, it was a lethal strike. And it impacted Pyfer for the rest of the fight. Yeah, and then the pace, the pressure, that's whenever he started to put Pyfer on the back foot. The first 8 minutes, Pyfer was marching him down. But as he started to fade and as Hermansson started to get kind of in his groove, Hermansson started advancing.
Yeah, and I think that's super important here. So I think moving forward, just from that, I mean, before we even get to the end of this fight, because I don't want to give away how it ends or anything quite yet, I just want to say anyone that moves forward heavy and that can eat some damage like a Cannoneer or Vittori, that's a problem for Pyfer now. Like I think game plan, like systematically, those guys are going to see that he doesn't do well off his back foot, and guys that can handle being a heavy pressure fighter like those two I just named are going to find success against a guy like Joe Pyfer, and he's going to have a hard time against guys like that. So I just want to say that like maybe slight blueprint effect that we saw right there in round three.
And I may be extrapolating too much from this, but whenever I was watching this fight, I couldn't help but think about next week's main event, Volkanovski-Topuria. I think if Volk can kind of get Topuria past the 8-minute mark, it probably looks pretty similar to this one.
Yeah, I agree with you, and I also think Volk, as far as like athlete levels, can match Topuria a lot better. Like I think Volk's going to do a lot in that. I love Volk next week. Love Volk next week.
Yeah, and we'll get to the next week's picks once again at the end of the prelims episode. Every week we do a main card episode, prelims episode, and then we talk future bets on the end of the prelims episode. So be sure you tune in for that. And yeah, man, I mean, just as this fight went on, the gap got wider and wider. Body language wise, you could see the doubt creep into Pyfer's mind and then manifest physically. You could see it happening before our very eyes. It was pretty wild to see. Like every once in a while you'll get a hint of that, but like this was like so obvious that like he was like feeling more human than he's ever felt.
Well, in fourth round, he got touched up with the jab for like all 5 minutes and was just, I mean, he was beat up by the end of the fourth round, honestly, man. And like, you could tell he was pretty much broken. And then you get to round 5 and he gets taken down. And at that point, that was like the full breaking point when he was on his back. I guarantee it.
I would argue that the full breaking point came in 4 whenever Pyfer started to try to shoot his own takedowns and was getting stuffed.
You see, what I mean? I thought about that. That was the desperation point. I thought the full break was like, damn, I tried to do this to him for 3 minutes, and now he just did it to me in one attempt.
Also, man, Hermansson's chin, underrated. I mean, nobody has survived a Pyfer nuke yet. There's the whole internet controversy about does he hit harder than Ngannou or whatever. But, like, regardless, he hits very fucking hard. He's a big gorilla of a man. And Hermansson took his best shots early in the fight.
And I would like to say Joe Pyfer made sure to go on Rogan and all those podcasts he went on and tell us that he broke that punch record. He made sure to get that story out. And I just like, honestly, I don't like Joe Pyfer. I hated him after the Rogan interview, like hated him. And the more I looked into him, the more I kind of followed him, the more I'm like, this guy's just like a cocky bitch that beats up cans. Like, I don't like guys like that in the UFC. If you can beat up good fighters and be cocky, all good. Like if you're Colby in his prime and like you're knocking off number 2, 3, 4 and talking all the shit on earth, all good. But if you just beat up cans and like call yourself the best, I can't be here for that. And like what he had said about this fight in lead up to it, that this he thought was an easy fight, that he thought he was going to get Jack out of there in one, and that he was going to show that they're not even in the same league. Bro, if anything, he showed that he's not in the UFC vet league.
Yeah, well, I think Pyfer still has a lot of potential. He's just got to figure out how to fight with the game plan, with some technique, with some strategy, he can't just go out there and barn burn it, especially in 5-round main events, which hopefully he won't be in another main event for quite some time, if he even works his way back there at all. I did think this was a little premature. Like I said, he had never been tested. He was like 3-0 against literally like the bottom tier middleweights. And so I just think this was too much too soon. Personally, as a fan, yeah, I'm not a big fan of Pyfer, how he carries himself, or how he just kind of just his whole mentality. He's just a very unlikable guy. Like that's the term. Every time I see a Pyfer interview, it's just unlikable. Usually, you do media opportunities to gain fans. Well, he's like losing fans because he's so unlikable. He's just such kind of a tool, to be honest. And yeah, bro. I mean, Piper's still a lot of potential, but I think this was too much too soon, and he has to get back to the drawing board.
100%, I agree with that. As far as like a what's next kind of a thing for Pyfer, this sounds fucked up, but hear me out. If the UFC really wants to do it, when Bo Nickel beats Cody Brundage, Nickel Pyfer would be a fire card.
Makes all the sense in the world. They look like cousins.
One guy has nukes for hands. One guy's the best wrestler. Like stylistically, you'd imagine that it favors him, and both guys match up somehow.
Totally, bro. No, I love that. I don't mind seeing like a Gregory Rodriguez. I think they're like him and Pyfer. Like they fight kind of similar body types.
RoboCop-ish.
Yeah, and then I got one because it's another guy who's only crushed a can, but I'm super high on Ruzboyev, which he may have a fight booked.
Yeah, I think he does. I'm pretty sure he does.
But big guys crushing cans, let's match them up with each other. But
I'm with you, man. I'm with you.
And then Hermansson called out Imavov, which no doubt is gonna happen, and is no doubt gonna be in the Apex, and is no doubt gonna be complained about by us, but makes sense from like a matchmaking perspective.
And a fourth, no doubt, it'll headline a Fight Night card in the Apex, right?
Yeah,
because 5-round middleweights, they love to do it, and also those guys are gonna be like 10-7 or 10-8 respectively. So it's like, of course,
book it, man. Fucking May Apex card. Hermansson and Imavov, like it's gonna happen.
We'll probably get a 6 versus 8 female co-main.
Yeah, bro. No, you can see it. You can see it happening. One quick thing before we move on to this co-main. I saw a lot of narrative on social media about like, are you done with the Apex cards? I think we're gonna have different answers in this. But I'll turn it over to you. Like, would you rather have no Apex cards at all if it meant less overall UFC content? Like if they did 2 fight nights a month instead of 3 or 4, but never another Apex card again? Or is it kind of just like a necessary evil to just like give us weekly MMA?
I think the design I would most like, I've thought about this, is 39, we'll say 40 just for the round number. 40 cards a year, right?
Okay.
So that's 3 every 4 weeks, roughly. You're going to have one where you run all 4, but maybe the end of the year, you know what I mean? But then also you're going to have your 1 month break. So you're going to have a couple, like probably have 4 months where you have all 4 weeks. Now you pick 31-day months to do that in, boom, easy. You still get your 1 month off at the start of January, boom, that's taken care of. Now the thing that I would argue is the fights, if you're not going to have them in the Apex, need to be good enough to sell tickets to justify them not being in the Apex. What I don't agree with is if they're not good enough to sell venues, then we'll just do it in the Apex. I disagree with that logic entirely, and I am kind of tired of it watering down cards, in all honesty. Like, this is a card that I felt like we didn't necessarily need to have. I thought you could have moved some of these fights around, and I thought just overall, maybe some of these fights were unnecessary. Like, I don't know. Now, I only say that because last week's Fight Night was pretty fucking weak, and this Fight Night's pretty weak, but we're getting 3 ultra-juiced pay-per-views, so it's kind of like a juxtaposition.
Yeah, man. I can't necessarily disagree with anything you just said. However, my takeaway is like, I'll take it, bro. Like, I mean, football season's over now, especially now. Now, I think during football season they could lay off some of the garbage cards because, like, us sports fans, we have other things to watch. But like coming up on this drought or like that period of time where it's only baseball season or something like that, or like
See,
fucking feed me the shitty Apex cards,
I,
bro. I'm a mark. I'll take it.
I think the UFC should own from like May to September. Like they should own May to September because it's
Yeah.
essentially by the middle of May you only have 4 basketball teams left and you have baseball. So
Yep. Yeah, I think that's when you feed. I think it's the timing. I think that's when you feed us thirsty fans the bullshit cards, and you can
that's
get away with
that's
it.
my point. Is you can feed me bullshit when I have nothing else to want to watch or go to or do.
Yeah, Super Bowl week is tough. Super Bowl week is tough. Yeah, yeah.
Especially to
No, I
have
feel
like, and I get that that's why it's an Apex card because they can't sell tickets to an event that's the same weekend as the Super Bowl. Who like everyone's got Super Bowl plans or whatever that not everyone, but the idea is the focus is Super Bowl, so your event means dick all. So that being said, like we could have just taken this weekend off. Like that was more my logic in like the weekends where there's like mega events. We could take those weekends off.
fair play, fair play, fair play. But yeah, let's keep it pushing this co-main, man. Now this one I will kind of puff my chest out on. This was my lock of the week, and it did cash. This was all day. This was 3-star lock of the week, and it came to fruition. Fili, I think, was being we had Dan Ige minus 185, taking on Andre Fili plus 155. Ige ranked 13 in the featherweight division. Fili unranked. Fili coming off a big win, but overreact to that big win, which I think the books and some of the public did. Then this is how this fight even gets made, and I think this money line was weirdly close in my opinion. Ige, I just had Ige like I think 4 or 5 tiers, and each tier is 5 fighters. I had Ige so many tiers above Fili that I mean this was just my lock of the week. I should have bet more, honestly.
Now, I loved the Ige line here. Like, I thought the value was good. I thought he is worlds above Fili. I thought Fili is journeyman, can fight good
Yeah,
contenders, can fight vets. I didn't think can fight top 15 was necessarily in that list of where I would be putting Andre Fili. So,
yeah,
that being said, um, then you come to learn that these guys are like friends and they've like trained together a whole bunch. And it's like, oh, well, damn, this is probably a case where like Dan Ige was bringing in Fili when he was young to be like a guy he was going to pretty much beat up in camps. And then Fili like got better. But it's one of those things where I don't think that torch was ever passed. I don't think it's that sort of a situation. Like I think Ige was literally just a class above as far as fighter at featherweight. And so to get that number on Ige, yeah. I mean, it's crazy good number. And then also, man, that being said, kind of a brutal finish when you consider that they're like buddies.
so brutal. Yeah, man, we get the round one Ige style. Like this fight look like when Ige is at his best. This is what it looks like, dude. He can starch people, and we got to remember that he doesn't always have the best fight IQ. Like as the fight goes on, and he'll kind of give up some rounds. But like if you like Ige, you probably like him by KO, and you probably like the under. Like, we got to remember that as bettors.
Also, got to remember
I mean,
that the guys that try to defend or dodge punches by pulling back, like pulling away from punches, he annihilates guys like that because he does a lot of like overhands, hooks, things that lead into guys pulling back. But if a fighter like dips in and stays in the pocket with Ige, it's a lot harder for him to be successful. Whereas like Fili loves to sit on the edge of the pocket and try to pull out of it, which he got blasted with that overhand that's what sat him out.
yeah, overhand right, like basically should have been stopped. Like should have been a walk
Yeah,
off.
where was the ref?
Like this reminded me a lot of the O'Malley, was it Paiva? Whatever he like.
Yeah, where he looked at him and
and was like,
boom.
all right, yeah. Hit him with one more Ngannou Stipe 2 shot. And I mean, yeah, it was a brutal finish. Dan 50K Ige for a reason. He gets 50K. I cashed my ticket. Now we'll get to the no contest gods hating me on the prelims episode. I had this tied in as a two-legger with the fight on the prelims. That was my other lock of the week that I was correct on, but we get another no contest 2 weeks in a row where my parlay gets hit in the nuts value-wise from a no contest. But that's just luck. Like gambling, like by definition, the word gambling, like, includes the word luck, and sometimes
I would love to know your odds on your both of your parlays in back-to-back weeks being cracked by the 2 no contests of the entire year out of the 50 fights that have occurred. I'd love to know the odds.
But that's what I'm saying. That's bad luck. Like that's the definition of bad luck.
Yeah,
like,
it can't be anything else but luck at that point.
And both of those tickets still cash, so I'm trying not to be a greedy fuck. But yeah, I lost a lot of value, and it did get me out of the green barely. I ended up getting like 80% of my money back. Whatever. Not a bad weekend at the books, but it could have been a great weekend at the books. 2 minutes 43 seconds. Ige kind of defends his spot in the rankings. As far as what's next for Ige, the thing about Ige, he's fought so many of these guys. Do you have his Tapology pulled up? Do you mind? Because I don't want to.
Yeah. Give me one sec. Oh, just his fight history? I got that right here.
Because he's already fought Barbosa, right? Or am I tripping?
Let's see. Dan Ige. God, has he fought Barbosa? Yeah, back in 2020 as a split decision win.
So yeah, he fought Barbosa and he fought Mitchell, I believe, too, and he lost to Mitchell, I do believe.
Yeah, that was just last September.
And then, but he hasn't fought Giga yet, I don't believe, right? Him and Giga hasn't fought.
They have not fought.
I can see that being a banger. No, granted, I would probably like Giga in that one. I'm not saying it's a great matchup if you're Giga, but I mean, I think that matchup would make a lot of sense. I think they're at like pretty similar points in their career. Or if you want to make him fight kind of back again, him and Lerone Murphy would be pretty fucking sick.
Is Lerone Murphy booked or?
I could be wrong, but this maybe was supposed to be Lerone Murphy this fight, and he pulled out. I could be wrong. I think it might have been supposed to have been Ige Murphy, and then Murphy pulled out. Ooh. If I'm not mistaken, I could be wrong. I could be wrong on that.
Let me get the Tapology right here. So Lerone Murphy, yeah, canceled bout. Dan Ige, Dominic with the big calls.
So I think you just rebooked that, I guess, right?
I think that's the move here. I mean, it's not like you're asking Ige, like he starched Fili, and Fili's far from ranked. Like, essentially just took it as like a whim. So
got a check. Got 3 checks.
Yeah, so let's get that. Well, 1 check, right?
Well, no, Ige got 3. I mean, you're winning.
Ige. Yeah. I thought you meant Fili. I was like, Fili.
No, I'm saying Ige really got nothing from this win besides 3 checks. You know what I mean? It doesn't really help him in the rankings or prestige. Or,
right, yeah. So, all right. So, Lerone Murphy, Dan Ige. I'm saying we run it back. No questions. I mean, this fight, as much as there isn't to break down, it's more just a breakdown of Ige's not done and Fili's still a journeyman.
Yeah, 1,000%. Could not agree more. And then as far as Fili goes, are we in like who cares territory? Like,
I hate to say it, man, but yeah, like I mean, fucking Darren Elkins and Andre Fili would be a good fight at this point. You know what I mean? Like, Nate Landwehr and Andre Fili would be a good fight.
Yeah, or you could go the opposite way and give him like a prospect. You could give him you don't want to go too low. Featherweights, there's like a real drop-off line, especially having the power rankings. Like, there is a mark where it falls off pretty substantially. But yeah, Fili, they can do whatever. Prospect, vet, I like Fili. Like, I wish well for him, but as far as just him being a top guy and making a run at it, I don't see it. But let's keep it pushing to this really weird featured bout. I thought this card placement was bizarre, out of line, you could even say.
Oh, you mean 2 guys that don't deserve to be in the UFC being in the third to last fight? Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, bro. So we got debutante, 33-year-old debutante, which I'm starting to view as a huge red flag. Unless it's like a Michael Chandler type situation where you've had success elsewhere. Like if you're debuting in the UFC in your mid 30s, like I'm pretty much just gonna take it with a grain of salt. But yeah, you got Robert, was it Breeschek?
Wrist check.
Burschek, minus minus 175 favorite out of Poland, taking on Ihor Potieria, which, bro, this guy must give a mean handy or something, bro. The UFC brass just like gives Ihor Potieria like so many like, I don't want to say good opportunities, but like better than he deserves. This guy should be jerking the Kurt.
Well, I wondered kind of like how is he even in the UFC still at this point? Like, not to be like a dick, but here if I look up his record, like I don't know. He's 21-5, but like I don't know that it's justifiable that he's even in the UFC because like he has a win over like bro, he beat Shogun.
Like
Like
old washed Shogun,
right.
the ghost of Shogun.
Right. Otherwise this dude was 1-3 in his first 4 fights. He won on the Contender Series with against someone Lucas Sudolski, who the fuck knows. But it's like, how did he get re-signed? Because he beat Hidolfo Balada, or no, I'm sorry, got KO'd by Hidolfo Balado, got KO'd by Olberg, and got KO'd by Nikolai Negomarianu. Never saw a third round and beat Shogun in the first round. I mean, this guy's like not UFC caliber, man.
No, bro. And then Burschek, 33-year-old debutant. This was a no bet for me. No, that being said, and then Potieri, so he drops down from light heavyweight to middleweight, misses weight. So on top of all the things you just said about his resume, he misses weight. Yeah, just a hard guy to root for. Weird card placement. No, that being said, fight ends up being like pretty decent. Did you give Burschek any rounds?
Man, I didn't actually. I did not. Did you?
I had round one being very, very close. I gave him round one. I thought he landed the bigger shots, but I wasn't super bullish on it.
The one judge that did score a round for Brischek agrees with you. He did give Brischek the only round that was given to Brischek was one from that judge. So
Yeah.
it's the only justifiable round I think he can get around. That being said, both these guys were terrible. Like I mean, just bro, technically like lack striking acumen. Both guys, I guess, had power, but neither had any striking defense. So it's like hard to gauge the power whenever you're able to land clean because your opponent sucks.
Fair point, bro. Yeah, and middleweight's so stacked right now. Like, do we need these guys like taking up roster spots in the middleweight division? Like, I think a guy like Bruno Vieira, like, touches both of these guys. You know what I mean? Like, and I'm not even that high on him. Like, I don't even view him as like a top 20 guy. Like a Bruno Ferreira, a Ruzboyev. Hell, bro, you could argue that like an Andre Petrosky makes short work of these guys. It would be snoozy.
I would say
but,
that's like on the table though, is that Petrosky would like beat these guys up.
yeah, bro. So like, I just don't. You're right. I don't know why this is even a thing. Um, yeah, bro. Like a Durayev beats these guys. Hell, power bar guys to town.
I mean, Potieri might be in my bottom 5 middleweights, which means Brischek might be number like the final, literally last ranked middleweight.
Yeah, see, I have him above like the Azatars and the Tolulians of the world, and the Puna Haley Sorianos of the world, and the
Oh, I don't
of the
know.
world.
I don't know if Brischek is beating those guys.
All right, so you're more down on him than I am. But to your point, I do have Potier in my second lowest. I still have him in my light heavyweight rankings because he has never made middleweight still. So,
Fair, yeah.
but regardless, bro, let's keep. I mean, Potier gets the win, cashes at plus 145. I mean, he's kind of a tweener, I guess. He can't make a middleweight. I mean, it was short notice. Maybe he could, but honestly, who cares? I said I scored a round for Burschek. You didn't. And if Burschek is getting 30-27 by Potier, tells you all you need to know really about his skill set. 33 years old, debutante, out on both of these guys. I mean, anything else we need to say, or should we keep it pushing?
No, man, we can keep it pushing, but yeah, I mean my final point was pretty much what you said, is that if a guy in the second to last tier beats up in 30-27's a guy, that guy probably not UFC caliber.
Probably not. I mean, next fight, we're bringing up, we got more middleweights. Brad Tavares, who I don't think anybody's too high on, 36 years old. Bro, Brad Tavares finishes both of those guys.
Oh, yeah.
1,000%.
Oh, yeah. 100%. I mean, bro, and like, Brad, I missed the odds on this. What were the odds?
We got Brad Tavares coming in at plus 200, taking on Gregory RoboCop Rodriguez, minus 245, middleweight division. And, man, I mean, this was a decent fight. We ended up getting a third-round finish, but I had the first 2 rounds being split. Like, it was pretty competitive.
Yeah, 100%. And honestly, like, Tavares would have been more than minus 245 against Potieria or Brisic to, like, show you the skill gap that we're talking about here at middleweight. Like, the guy that was the underdog would have mollywopped either of the other guys. Now, that being said, I honestly kind of like Tavares here, but I also think Tavares is a little long in the tooth. I think he's just been through so many ass beatings, and like he's just fought so many guys, man. Like his career is respect. He's like kind of almost starting to be like a Jim Miller at middleweight, but when you add 30 pounds, that's like hard to do to have that longevity.
Oh, bro, he's fought killers, bro. His strength of schedule and his fucking nuts that he wheelbarrows around is impressive. And then RoboCop, dude, I love having RoboCop on the roster because, like, is he top 10? Hell no. But is he just a, like, gnarly, huge, scary, like, he's the perfect gatekeeper. Like, he's very good, very tough, very strong, very well-rounded. He's just a little bit slow speed-wise and just, I would say, kind of not elite necessarily in any one category. But just a very good fighter. Like, he would be like B's across the board if you're doing like a Madden ranking.
Right. Like, I think he's a guy that holds like a pretty hard candle to like top 25. Like, if you rank top 25, I think Gregory Rodriguez could like sit as the number 25 like gatekeeper for forever. Because I don't know that he's top 15, but he's not outside 25.
No, I agree, bro. Yeah, I like RoboCop. And his fights are always fun to watch. Fan-friendly style, you know.
Great jiu-jitsu, but he, like, loves to power strike, so it is super fun.
He likes to bang it out. No, totally, bro. And to your credit, I'm seeing where I do have him ranked. 15, 20, 25. So I do have him 30, but, like, middleweight is so goddamn stacked. Like, there's so many studs above him. Like, he's very, very, very good. Now, round 1, I go to Rodriguez. He's landing his typical horse meat nukes. Those clinch knees.
The knees, bro. The knees.
Yeah, the clinch knees were to the body and to the head. Also, Gregory Rodriguez needs to have – who was that guy that gave Alex Rodriguez the clear and was like the guy that juiced all the MLB guys and like got him to get away with
Victor
it?
Balco.
Bro, that's
Victor
where
Conti.
That's where Rodriguez is going to make his real money in his career because nobody has figured out how to pass these drug tests better than Gregory Rodriguez. Bro, seriously, after his fighting career, he's going to be like an MLB consultant.
He eats all the Brazilian acai, all of it.
Bro, like he needs to like start a podcast with more plates, more dates, and just like
and teach Derek how he beat the system.
Bro, that's how he's gonna make his real money. But all jokes aside, credit to Tavares, came back strong in round 2. I gave Tavares round 2 more of a volume boxing kind of accuracy kind of approach. More finesse. If Gregory Rodriguez is like a blunt object, then Tavares was a sharp spear.
I agree. A little more surgical in round 2. Now, round 2 I had as like a pure coin flip. I would be fully okay with whoever you scored it to. That being said, I gave it to Rodriguez. Now, I thought that round was so close that the judges would split it, and they did. One judge gave round 2 to Tavares, and the other 2 went to Rodriguez. So I have no problem with that round. I thought that round was as close as the fight could have been.
Yeah, Rodriguez landed a lot of good leg kicks, got a takedown. I think I would have given the round to Rodriguez if he did anything at all with the takedown. He did fuck all once he got on top. zero damage, zero sub attempts.
I thought controlling him on the ground for 1 minute was enough to win the round because I thought the damage was almost 50-50, and that's literally the only reason, even in my notes I have, is that just like the ground control might have actually edged the round, which is crazy to say. Like that just shows you how close it was.
Yeah, bro. Yeah, I'm not dying on any hills here. No, round 3 we do get a finish, man, and it was just brutal. When we said earlier that Rodriguez was just a blunt object, I mean, he just quite literally, this is going to be a caveman breakdown here, but he was just hitting Tavares like harder than Tavares was like capable of being hit. Like he just like bludgeoned him to the point where like Tavares was like shelling up, and Rodriguez was just
like it was like a hammer breaking on a shield. You know what I'm saying? You see the shield crack, and then it just like slowly like wilts until finally it just like broke, and you saw like Tavares like go against the cage like kind of semi limp and like hold his hands not as high, and then just eat a full one, and you're like, oh, it's over.
Yeah. I mean, the shots Rodriguez finished this with, they weren't like well timed. They weren't like a well placed shot. Like
pure power. Pure power.
Battering ram. Because like they were being partially blocked, and it just did not matter. He just went right through the guard. Which is why I said Rodriguez. I'll tune in. Like if I see him on a card, I'm not bummed out about it at all. And I think a lot of fans feel that.
Never bummed out about all horse meat Rodriguez.
55 seconds into the third round. I minus 245.
I thought this should have been in the place of Potieria and Brishik, and the only reason being is that, like I said, either of these guys beat the shit out of those guys, and they're the same weight class, so how can you say that either of the other guys have a bigger name? They're not Bo Nickel or Joe Pyfer. Like, they're not some hot shit contender, neither one of them, so...
Yeah.
I was confused by that, for sure. I also hated this card being 14 fights, because all the prelims... Like 4 of them felt like I was just like, oh, dog, y'all are just like being forced to make like UFC, ESPN quotas.
Yeah, bro, I get that feeling as well. What would you say about? I wanted to get your take on this. A RoboCop Chris Curtis fight. I think it's a bad matchup for Curtis. But RoboCop's 6'3", super hard, but he's also slow, so Curtis might be able to counter him. I know you hate Chris Curtis.
I'll say this. I think Gregory... I think a horse meat Rodriguez is bringing the fight to anyone. So that's going to make Chris Curtis have to fight. So it's going to favor the counter style of Chris Curtis. So he's at least going to do something, I would say, in that fight. So that's going to be better than your normal Chris Curtis fight. That being said... I think like Joe Pyfer and Chris Curtis is awesome because I think Joe Pyfer would just try to march Chris Curtis down, and you'd actually see like maybe the best Chris Curtis. And then I also think that, Rodriguez Chris Curtis is I could be sold on that.
Yeah, you
like
could do that.
Sell, yeah.
Or like maybe like a Michelle Pereira. That would be a banger.
That's a banger.
That'd be a banger. Yeah, no, that's the thing about Rodriguez, man. There's a lot of fun fights you can make with him, especially in that stacked middleweight division. And as far as Tavares, man, I mean, we got to be getting close to the end of the road here. I mean, he didn't even perform horribly, but it's just like
the miles,
what are you in it for?
The performance. Like, I just don't see him getting better, if that makes sense.
Exactly. Like, I mean, if you want to keep earning a living for your family and cashing a few more checks, like, I'm not going to get in the way of that. But, like, upward trajectory, I think we're going to start getting pretty Tony Ferguson-ish here.
Yeah, we just got to be realistic about where the career is at, Brad. You know?
Yeah, 1,000% agree. And we'll keep it pushing to the 22-19 coming into this one. Michael Johnson, 37 years old. Now, I actually bet Michael Johnson, but I was really just betting against Darius Flowers. I have Darius Flowers in my elite can tier. And I mean elite in the bad terms. Like, he's as can gets. He has a 12-6-1 record. I don't think, beat anybody in the UFC. Doesn't show you really anything to be excited about.
What odds did you get Michael Johnson at?
So I got him actually at minus 135. It's only a difference of 5 points. So Yeah, it finished at minus 140. I got it at minus 135, so I'll take the value. Now, I had it on another two-legger that ended up not cashing. So I didn't win any money on it, but I did predict this one. Yeah, Darius Flowers plus 120. Fight takes place at lightweight. This is one that no man. I don't. This is another weird matchmaking ESPN quota vibe. Like I don't really know why this fight was made. I guess it was a winnable fight for Johnson. I guess
I think there's only one main story to this fight, and that's that Johnson almost threw the fight in the can with a minute to go.
yeah. Oh, the armbar, like the sub attempts. You talking about the sub attempts from Flower?
Yeah, I mean, he just got rocked on the feet and then almost got subbed, and it was like, dude, like you're winning every minute of this fight. That's all you have to do is not get caught and subbed.
Yeah. Well, that's the Michael Johnson 101, right?
It's
Like
crazy. He does it every time.
like
It's
he'll
crazy.
give you a chance to beat him. Like it'll a guy like Flowers probably just isn't the guy to capitalize on it. But yeah, you're right. You're right. Every fight, Michael Johnson's gonna throw you a fucking 80-mile-an-hour fastball down the middle. It's just if you can hit it or not. Like
It's crazy, man, because he was dominating this fight. Like, it was just. I mean, also, Flowers, zero wrestling defense. I mean, zero.
Yeah. Zero wrestling defense. I mean, not great boxing. I thought Flowers did some good body kicks in the first round and like made it competitive. I still gave it to Johnson. But yeah, dude, I'm not high on Flowers at all. Like I literally have him as like bottom cans here. And Michael Johnson, I mean, there's a little bit of juice left in the tank. I mean, he's 37, but like I gotta say, his hands are still fast as fuck. I mean, he still obviously has power. He's got some wrestling.
All right.
Fight IQ is good, always going to be a question mark. But
I know what it is. Michael Johnson, Tony Ferguson.
Sure, they never fought.
Even if they have, dog, it hasn't been in the last 7 years.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. What do they say? All the cells in your body replace after 7 years or something.
Yeah. I'm like, no, those different people. Like the food tastes different to them.
No, that's a fair point. Yeah, bro. I mean, I had a 30-27. All three judges had a 30-27. Like I said, Flowers had some decent body kicks in round one. He threw up an arm bar and like a Kimura attempt in round three. I mean, Flowers, the only reason he's in the UFC, he had a short notice fight at 170. That's like how he got his contract. It was like a 3-day notice. They were just scrambling to find somebody that could fog a mirror. Yeah, bro, just not UFC caliber. But I'll say Johnson has a little bit left in the tank. I'm not saying he's gonna he needs to be fighting top 15 guys or anything, but like.
Oh, okay. Let me ask you this. Tony Ferguson, Michael Johnson fought May 5th of 2012. Is that long enough ago for you?
we had just graduated high school. No, we were like
we're about
2 weeks
to
from graduating high school. Yeah. Yeah. I think you can run that one back. Fuck it.
And it went to decision. I think we can run that one back, and I think that's not disrespectful to either guy, especially when you look at the records of fucking 23-19 and Tony Ferguson on an 8-fight losing streak.
Yeah, bro. Yeah, you can run that one back. And I guess we can keep it pushing to this opening fight of the main card here. We got more middleweights, middleweight heavy main card, which is cool because I love me some middleweight. So with the exception of Bershek and Potieria, but we got Rodolfo Vieira minus 115 taking on Armin Petrosian minus 105. Now I thought this fight was cool personally. As somebody who keeps my own power rankings, even before this fight, bro, I had them ranked right by each other. So
I think I have them two apart. So like it makes sense on mine too.
Yeah, like I loved this matchmaking. The UFC kind of saw it very similar how I saw it. That being said, it was a no bet for me because it was like interchangeable. There was no value on either side, right? So this was a no bet. I mean, classic striker versus grappler matchup. I thought this was.
Isn't it? Sorry to cut you off, but isn't it so interesting when the UFC, like, I mean, this could be true for any professional gambler, I suppose, has their own book, but like when you do have your own rankings and could make your own book, like you can with fights at this point, isn't it interesting when their odds like directly match yours, and it's like, well, fuck, you got me, boys. Like, I can't do anything here.
Yeah. This was a no bet. Also, man, our list is getting dialed in, bro. It's getting dialed in.
I'll start making
But yeah,
bets
man,
from just the list alone at this point. Like, unless it's like a stylistic nightmare.
I have been the past 4 weeks, and I've basically broken even or been in the green every week. Pick wise, I've been keeping track of my pick percentage. I haven't even on like the fights I don't bet, just picks. I have not been under 50% since I've just been going off of my rankings. I'm usually in the 55-60% range, so it's not like it's like foolproof. But if you pick your spots out of those,
Well,
I
I think picking those spots mixed with following like sharp money too. Like if you do the both of them together, so like where sharps fully agree with you and where they're seeing value on like one side the public isn't. Like if it's one that goes against like, because for instance, I think like fighters like Patty and guys like that, it's almost like the Niners. Like the Chiefs had like 74% of the public bets, but like the money was like 51% on the Chiefs as well. So it was like a huge disparity between like people that bet on the Niners were betting massive amounts, and then just every public small bet was a Chiefs bet.
Yeah, for sure, bro. Yeah, no, we kind of collab on our picks coming up soon. Now, round man, maybe eventually. I mean, because Rodolfo Vieira, like ADCC champion, his nickname's literally the Black Belt Hunter. So high level jiu-jitsu guy on all the fucking juice in the world. It looks like.
See, I could see RoboCop and Vieira fighting. I don't know why they wouldn't.
I could have sworn maybe they did, but I could.
I thought they did too. Let me look, because I thought they might have.
But regardless,
no, they have not.
No, okay, yeah, that would be fun. That'd be a good matchmaking.
Seems like it makes sense, right?
They both got the same pharmacist. You know what I mean? It's equal across the board. But yeah, bro. I mean, what I'm getting at here is maybe one day, maybe just maybe, somebody might defend an arm triangle against Adolfo Vieira.
I don't think so. Not with all that juice on top of him.
I think that's 2 arm triangle finishes in a row for Adolfo Vieira. I mean,
Brundage and now Petrosian, who are essentially the same guy.
I like Petrosian more than Brundage, but I point well taken. Saying like Cruz was calling it out. Hell, I've never done a day of jiu-jitsu in my life. I can see that's what he was setting up. Like, hey, bro, if somebody's getting their head in your armpit, like in the arm triangle. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like it's not like I said. I'm no fucking, I'm no jiu-jitsu wizard, and I'm no Gordon Ryan, and I saw it coming. Like, and apparently Petrosian did not. Like. Regardless, I mean, first round finish for Vieira. I mean, Petrosian, as could be expected, did win the stand up for like the first 2 minutes of the round. But the minute Vieira was able to close the distance and engage in the grappling, it went as many predicted it would if he was able to close the distance and engage in grappling. Also, so the finish comes, 4 minutes and 48 seconds. Vieira got 3 takedowns with some decent ground and pound in that 4 minutes and 48 seconds. Also, what I thought was pretty cool, you see a lot of these jiu-jitsu people, whether it be a Ryan Hall or even like a Mackenzie Dern, and they're good at jiu-jitsu, but they can't get the fight to the ground. I thought Vieira showed I mean, you're the wrestler, but what did you think of Vieira's wrestling? Because that's what we knock all these jiu-jitsu guys for, is like, what good is jiu-jitsu if you can't get the fight to the ground? I thought Vieira showed pretty damn good wrestling.
Yeah, no, it was very good, man. I mean, he's one of the few guys that, as a jiu-jitsu practitioner, he's actually very good at being able to grapple on the feet and get to the top position, which I think is way more advantageous.
Yeah. It's not like he was pulling guard; like he was getting takedowns, which is you hardly see from these jiu-jitsu guys. But yeah, gets the arm triangle submission, big time win, gets a performance bonus. I gotta say, I think Vieira is starting to put it together. Now, will he ever be top 10, top 5? I don't think so. But I think he's starting to figure it out a little bit, because he came over from a purely jiu-jitsu background. I think he's starting to figure out the MMA game. He's starting to figure out the ground and pound, the wrestling, the control. He fights differently in a good way than, like I said, most of these jiu-jitsu champions that come over.
Yes, 100%. 100%. Now, who do you want to see him fight next? I mean, we talked about Juice Rodriguez, which would be fun. Is there anyone else you might like to see?
The Juice Bowl. Let's see. If you wanted to do another striker grappler thing, and it might be interesting, just because of Kizraev's a Dagestani background, it'd probably be harder to take down. Maybe like a Kizraev. He's in shape, ready to go. Do a Kelvin Gastelum. I don't know. They like to give Kelvin Gastelum big fights but Kelvin Gastelum's on he's approaching Tony Ferguson level of losing streak. Like he's stacking L's at a high rate. There's other grapplers like an Andre Muniz might be fun. Just the grappling matchup. You can make him fight backwards against a Shar Bullet, somebody like that. That's about the tier that I have him in. You know what I mean? I have him. I have him around the power bars at Jurayev, a Shar Bullet, Turtle maybe. I don't know, bro. He's in kind of that mid tier of middleweights where it kind of doesn't matter, in a way. I don't know. I'm not trying to be a dick about it, but he's such a specialist that he just proved he could beat a striker. Armen Petrosian is a striker, so if you put him with a striker like a Shar Bullet, that could work. Shar Bullet has dog shit takedown defense. I think they might try to avoid that matchup.
I was going to say, for the UFC, I think you avoid it, but as a fan, I want to see it.
Yeah, I think he could probably beat Shar Bullet if he's able to get on top, which he showed the ability to. And then, but like I said, a Kizraev would be interesting because Kizraev is a striker, but he's from Dagestan, so is Shar Bullet. But
what about
he might be able to defend.
Is that too much of a jump?
So me personally, I have Sherbazian ranked way lower.
I agree, but I think name value, if you're Vieira.
Name value? Bro, I have a feeling we could get some value on that. As a better, sign me up. As a better, sign me up. Sign me up. I don't think it would necessarily be that great of a fight, but I think it would be a great leg on a parlay, for sure. Yeah. Yeah. And then Petrosian, bro, he keeps, I don't think he's bad. He just, as a Niners fan, he just can't find a way to, get wins, when he needs them the most. You know what I mean? I think his skill set is good. I think he's a good fighter. He's 6'3". He has great kicks.
He has a split decision win over Juice Rodriguez.
Yeah, he sure as fuck does. So, he's shown that he can. It's just what's that saying they say about football coaches? Potential will get you fired. You know what I mean? If people if you show people enough to get the expectations up, and then you don't, you just always leave people disappointed.
If I think you can be a lot better than you currently are, then I'm gonna start to have a problem with it eventually.
Exactly, bro. I think he's way better than a Potier or a Burschek.
Well, bro, it's the same. It's the exact same thing we said about Shabazzian. If you think about it, though, the UFC tried to shove it down our throat, how good this guy was, and you and me both were I don't know if this guy's that good. I don't know if this guy's that good. And then he gets beat the fuck up, and we're he's not that good, like we thought.
Yeah, as far as Petrosian goes, bro, Mahmoud Muradov, that would be.
Are they not trying to run? They have to run that back, right?
The Muradov fight because he got the no contest fight with Kizraev. I know. Yeah. I'm trying to match up. See, fuck that fight, bro. That fight didn't mean anything. I think Muradov, because I think Kizraev was going to run through him anyway. Well, then
Kizraev Petrosian.
No. I think you do Petrosian, Muradov, and then you do Vieira Kizraev. I would mix them out.
Yeah, but here's the thing: is I think you're still trying to build Vieira, and I think you're still trying to build Kizraev, but you're not necessarily trying to build Muradov or Petrosian at this point.
That's what I'm saying. That's why you throw them on the early prelims. Who gives a fuck? And I think that would be a build if you because I don't think you need to build both of them.
You know what? You're right. you know what? I got to step back. I looked at this too micro. I got to step back and look at the macro of there's names like Bo Nickel and Joe Pyfer that are bigger fish in the same pond. So, like, we just need to, like, we need to make one of these fish bigger by letting it eat these little fish. So, yeah, to your point, yeah, fight them. But, yep, I'm back in. Vieira Kizarek.
Sold. He'll take it in red, folks. He'll take it in red. But
hot red.
But yeah.
Candy apple red.
But, yeah, man, we'll take a brief pause, and then we'll get back with these prelims. At the end of the prelims, this is why you should watch the prelims episode. That's where we'll make you money next week. My picks have been fire lately.
100%.
So stay tuned.
Might even cut
Check out the prelims.
Might even cut a little extra segment and split it off as an extra video for you guys if we love you enough.
Hey, if you like and subscribe.
Yeah, if you love us enough. We'll see you guys in a minute.